This is Terry Murphy from Young Artists Family Workshops. I'm glad you can join me for Winter White Landscapes. And you may have gotten a kit like this from your library. But even if you didn't, I can go over what's in there, and you may have some of the items at home, or you may be able to substitute. So basically what we're going to be doing is drawing with a white pencil on black cardstock. One is supplied with a white backing. If you don't have cardstock, you can use construction paper. I also have a little piece of construction paper that we're just going to use to practice on. A pipe cleaner, a little festive sprig, some sticks, and some samples of typography that you may choose to use, and some little cabins in the woods. Other than that, there is also a stand provided that will make your artwork stand up by itself. So let's get started with Winter White Landscapes. But before we start this project, there's a decorative element to it that we'll be using these sticks and this little sprig and maybe some cuttings from your yard or your neighbor's yard. Let's go! That thing I said about your neighbor's yard, you might want to ask permission first. Okay. Arborvitae trees have some very nice delicate branches you could use. Here's my dog helping me get branches. That one may be a little bit too big, Riley. Look for anything interesting. This is an ornamental peach growing in my backyard, and I just love these knobby little branches that they leave over the winter. And also, don't forget about a few sprigs of color, and grab that for our project. That's my dog helping again. All right, let's get on with the project. If you got the pre-made kit, you received some sample pictures of houses and some sample pictures of text and different type styles that you can use in your artwork. Now, you can put something like this in there, or you don't have to. You can just do a plain white winter landscape, and also you can work from your imagination. So you'll be working on this in a vertical position, and the reason I say that is because you received a stand that will work well in this vertical position. If you did it in horizontal, you could still use the stand support that is supplied, but you would have to cut it down a bit. So I'm going to keep with the vertical position, but what you also did get is a little, what I call cheat sheet. And this is for you to practice on and to see, what elements you might want to use in your picture. So even though we're doing this in white pencil, you can get a variety of whites just by the pressure that you use. So, you can go from a very light pressure to where it's hardly shows up, to adding more pressure until, you can do something that is completely white. No black showing through, just on how much pressure you use. So keep that in mind when you do your houses and you do your shading. You're going to use everything from this bright white to the black of the paper for your lights and darks. One other thing you might want to practice on this is the type of shading you might do. So you might practice some cross-hatching, and that just means basically like a tic-tac-toe pattern that you can add texture or shading this way. You can also do it with, you know, dots. You can do it with just lines. So we'll cover more of that in the artwork. The other thing you can do to practice is objects that you're going to put in there. So everything from, you know, the kind of window you might want to, you know, something a little different with maybe window curtains in it. Maybe with shutters on the side. All of this could be decided just on the fly as you are working. And then another thing you can practice, let's just turn it over, is trees. So if you look outside, and especially at winter when there are no more leaves on trees, you can still retain the shape of the tree. And what I like to do is just put a very light circle around it, or whatever shape you're going to use, and then start adding branches. Easiest way to do this is just branch off into what I call forks. Come back, the trunk just keeps going up, and just do more forks of different lengths, and try and keep in to that circle border that you made. So that's just a very easy way to do a tree. And then from there, you know, if you want, you can add smaller branches. Another shape of tree is same thing, but more of an oblong shape. And do the same thing with putting the branches in. And finally, the trees that don't lose their leaves are your evergreen trees. So they come in different shapes too, but most common is this triangular shape. And then you can do, you know, however you feel comfortable doing that type of tree. To similar shape, but you can fill this in with sort of a interesting design if you want. This is where being an artist comes in handy, because there are no rules. You just follow your own, the beat of your own drummer. So that's 3 ways to do trees, and you can practice them on your cheat sheet and then somehow put them into your picture. So let's get going on the picture. I'll be back in a moment after I sharpen this pencil. Okay, now I'm coming in and I'm going to start putting some shapes down. And I'm really just going to do this from imagination. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. And sometimes that's the fun of art. It really gets your blood flowing when you have to make decisions on the fly. So what I do know is I am going to put some text in it, but that will come later. And one thing I'm going to tell you is try and use this whole paper. So don't draw really tiny because it will be basically hard to see. And so I am just going to outline shapes now. I'm not going to get into the drawing of it. I'm going to outline basically where I'm going to place everything. So I know that I'm going to put the cabin here. And easy way just to start out a cabin is just to, you know, start doing a roof line. And so I am just making some lines here, basically making a cabin. And a lot of times, just the way I draw, I like to have things a little bit off kilter. So it's not going to be architecturally correct, but it is going to be interesting. So here is my house. And very basic shapes. Now, to this, you can add more shapes. And, you know, I would say put windows in as many as you can, because that is going to be a feature of what we're going to do with this project. What I'm going to do is similar to what I did here, but put a dormer in. So it's a little triangle once again that's going to line in with this roof. So basically like this. It sort of follows the lines of the roof, and you're basically making a little structure here. Okay, and let's see, a door. Let's put a door in. I think there might be a couple steps, so I'm going to put the door up a little higher. Let's give it a rounded top. The steps will be here. And as you see, I'm just doing this on the fly, making a little walkway that's a nice inviting way to allow your viewers into the picture. And then some windows. So maybe there's going to be a window here, maybe another window here, maybe there's a second floor. Should we put another dormer in here? I think not. What I think I'm going to do is just put in a circular window here. Okay, and then some windows here too. What else am I missing? How about a little chimney? Okay, that looks good. A little chimney cap. I might have some smoke coming out. This is starting to be a lot of fun. Okay, now I think that's all I'm going to do on the house. I'm going to sort of tie this roof line in. There we go. This might go all the way up to there. Okay, nice simple house. What else can we put up there? Well, I'd like maybe some bushes, some small trees, some tall trees, and leave this area empty because I am going to put the text on it. So once again, if you remember what we did here, let's just put basic shapes in. Maybe right now we're going to decide that is the ground from the sky. And you can overlap things too. I'm going to put a bush here, maybe a couple of bushes here, different sizes. Maybe there's going to be a tree right on the side of this house. what could be in the foreground. We can have other types of bushes, other types of trees. I think I'm going to make a bush here. Maybe it'll be a bush that has a little bit of a trunk to it. And then we'll put some trees in. So here is going to be a shape of a tree. Maybe here it's going to be an oblong tree. Maybe, let's see, trying to balance this, we'll put in some taller trees there. Repetition works nice. So what I did here was sort of tie in this tree to the roof line. So I'm just going to make the roof line a little bit different. Another smaller tree here. So this seems to be going okay. Maybe in the background here will be another kind of tree. So I don't know if I'm going to go much further than that. That's a lot of elements we put in very quickly. Let's see. I don't know if I want to put a fence in. We'll think about that later. You don't have to make all your decisions at once. And then let's go on to having some text in here. So I think I'm just going to put in, which one? Decisions. Let's go with something simple. I think the two simplest ones would be this one and this one. Which one looks best? You can always lay it down. I sort of like this one. It sort of goes with the drawing in the talls and the shorts and the simplicity. So you can just put it right next to it. And basically, how good is your eye is the question. I'm going to put it on an angle possibly. I'm going to start out with this word here and make sure I have enough room for it. So, and you don't have to do it exact, but do you know, a light drawing of it so you can go back and correct it if you want. So I'm just going to do this. I'll probably speed up the video at this point just because enough talking, right? Okay, now what I'm going to do is just darken up some elements with this white pencil. For things I'm very sure about, I'll put some textures in there. One thing I didn't put in there that you might want to put in yours is maybe a mountain line, a mountain range line, maybe a moon, full moon, crescent moon, maybe some clouds, or actually just some lines for clouds. It's all up to you. So things I know that I want to keep in there are, I just really like this this smoke coming out of the smokestack. It adds a nice horizontal element to these vertical trees. Now I'll come back and shade some of these things. Some things I won't shade. Some things I might shade like as I am outlining them, or add some texture to it. What you could do is go back to this sheet and see maybe some textures that you liked. Here's a nice chimney. You can even add these round stones to make a chimney and incorporate those. So I think I will, make just like a little stone chimney. So these are just little variations of stones in there, different sizes. We'll go back later and darken them up. And here is the roof line. I'm going to not outline this one too much because that's sort of in shade. Just going to go and basically outline the rest of the house. You can put snow on the house if you want. Put a little dormer here. I'm going to put a little bit of sort of lined siding on it. What I didn't put is a window or something, and you would never have a dormer without a window. So let's put a window in there. Maybe we'll make it one of those kind of windows. I like when you can put different shapes for the same thing. So rectangular windows, square windows, a circle window. Put a circle within a circle. I think, and here's the time where you can change things too. I think I might make this door a little bit bigger because if you have a window that big, I think the people would be coming in would be bigger. So not much, but just slightly bigger. And then these windows still make sense. And then you can also, I put these bushes in late, so this house is behind them now. And then the bushes are here. Here's where you can start putting detail in. These are the steps. So it would sort of go out like this, and down, and across for the next step, and down. And then this doesn't actually line up with the new steps that you just made. So this is where you're making a lot of adjustments now in the new drawing. I always like paths that welcome the viewer into the picture. So I think what I'm going to do now is just go through and have this picture evolve, and you can see it in its evolution. I will just take still photos of it and let it evolve that way. So this is how it's progressed so so far with the drawing of it. I'm pretty happy that I decided just to wing it because I like the way this is turning out. And I thought I'd come in here and show you that I'm just adding these little 3-pronged little forks onto these branches. And you know, it starts out with one limb and then you add some lines, and then to these curved lines you add a couple of more or several more pronged forks, and the end result of it is that it will have sort of a nice little edge of thickly densed branches. Besides that, I wanted to jump in and say it's kind of nice to work this slowly with the type also, because it gives you time to think of what you want to do with the rest of the drawing. And what I figured out, what I want to do is how to keep the interest going using darks and lights. So what I figured out is what I want to keep dark in here is this path, this house, mostly the walls of this house, exterior walls, and the night sky, and this smoke plume. Everything else I'm going to try and lighten up so your interest goes into the house and sky and text. Now, remember how I talked in the beginning how you can control this white by how dark and hard you press and how light. And so I want to show you that specifically in this tree. I think the beauty of this tree is that it has really white branches, and as you go down into the trunk, it turns into black, the black of the paper. I'm going to do a similar thing. Previously I was talking about cross hatching in this snow. So I'm going to do, I plan to do most of this white. I think it's going to fade into a lighter gray. But basically I'm just doing small scribbles. And so changing the direction of how I scribble here, the reason I'm doing it this way is because it leaves little blacks peeking through. And I sort of like that effect. And as you go down further into this, you can lighten up the pressure that you're using on the pencil until you fade into the black again. So let me continue with that and we'll show you some more evolution of this drawing. Just coming back to say now that I've used shading quite a bit now. And if you look at the snow, originally I was going to do it all white in a very bold tone of white. But as I was going on, I lightened up my pressure, so it turned into gray and it turned into just almost black. And I sort of like this. The reason why, and this is the fun of discovering while you're creating something, is that previously I had this path and that was the only shape happening here. But if you look at the shading, it creates another shape where it's sort of like that. And to me that's a little bit more interesting. It makes it look like the cabin's almost in a spotlight. I did a similar technique with this side of the roof. Went from white to gray to a darker gray. I'll also point out that with the pressure of the pencil, you can control the shading of the tree so that this one stands out. Why? Because these two are less bold in terms of how much pressure you're putting on the pencil. This one is sort of a nice tree. It's sort of stuck back there in the background. It's a half tree. So I wanted to make it bold but not as intricate as these. So very thick branches and sort of a pattern on the tree similar to a birch tree. I think the only thing I have left to do now is to add more snow. And when you add these little dots for snow, remember, not just in the sky, but you have to go over objects because snow is all around, in front of objects, behind objects. So make sure your snow is all over the place. And, just draw them very carefully. Don't, that's one way to take a beautiful drawing and make it less beautiful. But as much care as you put into your drawing, put that into snow too. Some of them are close together, some of them are further apart. And just make a nice blanket of snow in a design. And the last thing I'm going to do is to make white snow caps at the end of these trees. So, because right now they're not doing too much of anything, and they're sort of the same as this smoke, whereas I want this smoke to be black and standing out. So, we'll let you know how that turns out in just a minute. Well, I hope you enjoyed that project. Now that your artwork is finished, don't forget to take the stand that was provided in the kit. It has a self-adhesive strip. Peel the plastic off of it and stick it to the back of your artwork. And then remember the sticks that we collected and the sprigs and the ones that came in the kit? Just make a pleasing arrangement with them, tie them with the pipe cleaner, and place it right in front of your artwork. That's all there is to it. I hope you join me for another art workshop. This is Terry Murphy signing off, saying stay creative. Bye.